You've always felt it, haven't you? That you don't belong here, that the games of the crowd bore you, that their laughter feels hollow, their ambitions empty, their comfort suffocating. Plato told us why. He gave us the allegory of the cave. Prisoners chained in darkness, staring at shadows cast on the wall, believing those shadows are real. Their entire world is a lie. And when one prisoner escapes, when he sees the fire and the light, he realizes he never belonged in the cave. That's why you've never belonged, because your soul has always known you were not born for shadows, because the fire in you has always rejected chains, because you are not a placeholder, you're a Catharsian. From the start, the cave has tried to tame you. It told you what to believe, what to worship, what to desire. It chained you to careers, possessions, appearances, applause. It demanded that you laugh at shadows, fight over illusions, crown lies. And yet, you couldn't. You played along for a while, but inside you raged. Inside you knew this is fake, this is suffocating, this is not freedom. The cave rejects you because you were never meant for it. You were meant for fire. You were meant to see. You were meant to burn. To awaken is to suffer. Plato said the freed prisoner's eyes burned when he left the cave. He stumbled, he longed to return, he felt pain in every step. That pain is why you've always felt alien. That's why belonging has always eluded you, because belonging in the cave means blindness, because belonging to the crowd means chains, because belonging to placeholders means suffocating your fire. Catharsians don't belong. You burn, you rage, you endure exile. Your scars are proof, not punishment. You're not the first to feel this exile, though. You're not the first to walk out of the cave. Let's see some great philosophers of all times who have done the same. They've walked the same walk like you're walking now. Socrates never belonged in Athens. He exposed illusions, questioned the shadows, dragged truth into the light, and they killed him for it. Diogenes never belonged in society. He spat on its values, mocked its kings, lived in a barrel to prove freedom was not in shadows. Epictetus never belonged in chains. Though beaten and enslaved, he declared his freedom, he declared his soul untouchable. Marcus Aurelius never belonged in his palace. Surrounded by flatteners, indulgence, and corruption, he carried scars and wrote to himself about duty over desire. Plato himself knew he didn't belong in the cave of illusions. That's why he gave us the allegory, so the exiles of fire could recognize themselves across time. And you feel the same because you are theirs. You're a Catharsian. You feel rage when you look at the world around you. Rage at the emptiness of their ambitions, rage at the suffocation of their systems, rage at the chains they call freedom. Don't bury this rage. It's memory, it's proof. It is the fire that burns in every Catharsian. Socrates weaponized rage into questions. Diogenes weaponized rage into defiance. Epictetus weaponized rage into freedom. Marcus Aurelius weaponized rage into discipline. Plato weaponized rage into vision. And you can weaponize rage into your freedom, into your leadership. Why you've never belonged? The answer is simple because you are not meant to. Belonging is for placeholders. Belonging is for those who love chains. Belonging is for those who mistake shadows for truth. You've never belonged because your soul remembers fire, because your scars prove exile, because your rage testifies to truth. The cave was never your home. The crowd was never your tribe. The shadows were never your destiny. you never belonged because you were meant to lead. You were meant to burn. You were meant to be Catharsian. If you've ever felt suffocated by the world around you, if you've ever felt alien, even among those closest to you, if you've ever felt rage at the emptiness of belonging, you are Plato's freed prisoner. You're a Carthaginian. Don't seek belonging where you were never meant to belong. Don't beg the chained to see you. Don't waste fire on shadows. Instead, join the Carthaginians today and reclaim your power as a leader. The Carthaginian path is for those who know they don't belong in the shadows. The Pythagorean path, daily initiation into sight, philosophy that strengthens your clarity beyond illusions. Diogenes' barrel, radical outsider drills to stripe away false belonging and crown exile. The Aurelius Council, the throne of leaders, a circle of exiles who never belonged and never bowed. Exile is proof. Join the Carthaginians today on Patreon and become the leader you were always meant to be. Why have you never belonged? Because belonging in the cave means belonging to chains. Plato's prisoners were chained not only by shackles but by belief. They believed shadows were real. They believed lies were truth. They believed their slavery was freedom. This is the crowd today. They are chained to careers, to status, to possessions, to applause. They are enslaved by desire, ruled by fear, governed by illusions, and they call it belonging. They call it normal. They call it life. They call it freedom. Do you see it? You have never been able to chain yourself to their illusions, though. You tried, but the fire burned too hot. You raged, you suffocated, and you felt alien because you are not of the crowd. You're a Carthaginian. Belonging is not innocent. Belonging in the cave is violence against your own soul. To belong to shadows, you must silence your rage. To belong to the crowd, you must smother your fire. To belong to placeholders, you must betray your exile. That's why belonging has always hurt you. It was never for you. This is why you have always felt suffocated, because every attempt to belong was a chain around your neck. Carthaginians are not made for belonging. You are made for fire. Your throne is exile. Your crown is scars. And your immortality is rage. You're a free leader. You rage at the idea of belonging. You rage at the way people cling to illusions, fight for shadows, die for lies. You rage when they tell you to fit in, to be normal, to accept life as it is. That rage is not madness, it is sacred. It is your crown, it is your fire, it is the mark that you are not chained. The chained fear rage because rage threatens their comfort, but Carthaginians wield rage as a weapon. Rage destroys lies. Rage exposes chains. Rage burns shadows. The price of refusing belonging is solitude, always. When you reject the crowd rejects you. When you refuse illusions, the chained mock you. When you choose fire, you burn alone. But solitude is not punishment. It's proof. It's a choice you comfortably made. It is the mark that you have left the cave. It is the sign that you are burning in truth. Marcus Aurelius wrote to himself alone in his tent. Epictetus was also alone. He endured alone in chains. Diogenes lived in a barrel alone and laughed at society. Socrates stood alone in trial. Plato wrote alone of the cave. They didn't choose friends in the beginning, they led after their solitude. The chained cannot see you because they can't see themselves. Their eyes are fixed on shadows, their minds are locked in illusions. When you speak truth, they hear madness. When you burn with fire, they feel fear. When you refuse to belong, they feel rage. This is not proof that you are weird. It's proof that you are different because you are. You're not one of them. You're not a placeholder. You don't live in the shadows. You have left the cave long ago. You are unseen because you're awake. The crowd will never see you, but Catharsians will. Every time you refuse belonging, you sit on your throne. Every time you choose exile over comfort, you crown yourself. Every time you turn rage into discipline, you enshrine your fire. Belonging is for placeholders. Refusal is for leaders. Shadows are for the chained. Fire is for Catharsians. Freedom is for you. Leadership is for you. That's why you've never belonged, because you were never meant to. Refusal is your throne. Exile is your crown. If you've ever felt suffocated by belonging, if you've ever raged at the emptiness of the crowd, if you've ever endured solitude rather than bow to illusions, you are Plato's freed prisoner. You're a Catharsian. Don't fear exile. Don't beg the chained to see you. Don't waste fire on belonging. You were never meant to belong. You're a Catharsian leader. Claim that leadership inside the Catharsians on Patreon today. The Catharsian path is not about belonging, it's about fire. The Pythagorean path, daily disciplines of sight and refusal, strengthen your clarity against belonging. Diogenes' barrel, radical outsider practices, mock the illusions, reject the chains, spit on the crowd. The Aurelius Council, the circle of exiles, leaders who never belonged, who rule from rage, who burn together. Belonging is chains. Exile is your crown. Join the Catharsians today on Patreon and reclaim your suppressed power. The cave tells you this is your home. The crowd tells you that to belong is to be safe, to be accepted, to be whole. But you have always felt the opposite. The more you tried to belong, the more suffocated you became. Why? Because the cave is not your home. The cave is prison. The cave is death disguised as comfort. You've never belonged because you can't. You're not meant to belong. Your fire rejects the lie. Your rage will not let you sleep in chains. Catharsians were never meant to find home in shadows. Your home is exile. Your throne is freedom, leadership. Every time you tried to belong, you felt it, the betrayal of your own soul. You smiled when you wanted to rage. You bowed when you wanted to burn. You played their games while your heart screamed that they were lies. That suffocation is not weakness, it is truth burning inside you. It is your soul proving you were not made for chains. It is your fire demanding you refuse illusions. Belonging has always felt like betrayal because it is betrayal. You were not meant to belong, you were meant to lead. Plato's freed prisoner didn't return to the cave calmly. He must have burned with rage, rage at the chains, rage at the lies, rage at the blindness of the many after he saw the light, after he saw the truth. You feel the same rage when you hear the shallow ambitions, rage when you see them fighting for shadows, rage when you realize how much time was stolen from you in illusions. Don't bury this rage. It is sacred. It is the fire that separates Catharsians from placeholders. It is the proof that you were chosen to see. You are Plato's freed prisoner. You are a Catharsian leader. Plato warned us the freed prisoner who returns to the cave is mocked. The chained laugh at him. They say he is blind. They say he is insane. They threaten him. That's why you've never belonged, because you are Plato's freed prisoner. You know the truth. You have seen the light. Because when you try to return, they mock you. When you try to share your vision, they reject you. When you burn with fire, they hate you. It hurts. But this hurt is not proof you are lost, it's proof you are free. Only the awakened are hated by the chained. Only the burning are mocked by placeholders. Only the Catharsians are crowned in scars. The chained cannot crown you because their crowns are shadows. Their approval is worthless. Their recognition is dust. Their belonging is death. If they ever crowned you, it would mean you had bowed. It would mean that you had chained yourself again. It would mean you had betrayed your fire. You were one of them. That's why their rejection is sacred. Celebrate their rejection. Be proud that they rejected you. You've never belonged because you were never meant to be one of them. You're not a placeholder. You don't belong in their system. You're a Catharsian. Alienation is not failure, it's initiation. Every time you feel alien, you're sitting on your throne. Every time you feel rage at the crowd, you're carrying your crown. Every time you feel suffocated in belonging, you're proving your fire. If you've ever felt suffocated by the world, if you've ever carried solitude like a scar, heavy but sacred, you are Plato's freed prisoner. You're a Catharsian. Don't waste your time in their systems. You don't belong in their world. You're not a placeholder. You're a Catharsian leader. Claim your leadership now. Join the Catharsians today on Patreon and unlock your hidden, suppressed power. Join the Pythagorean path, Diogenes' barrel, or the Aurelius Council and get ready to rise as a Catharsian leader. It takes no courage to belong. Anyone can bow to shadows. Anyone can smile at illusions. Anyone can surrender to chains. But to refuse, that takes fire. That takes rage. That requires guts that many people don't have. Plato's freed prisoner refused the cave. He broke his chains, endured the burning light, and walked into exile. He knew he would never belong again. He knew the chained would hate him. He knew he would be mocked, condemned, rejected, alone. And still, he chose refusal. This is what you have done. This is why you've never belonged. Because your soul refuses to kneel. Because your fire refuses to dim. Because your rage refuses to die. Catharsians are defined by refusal, not by belonging, not by comfort, not by shadows. To belong is to die before your body falls. To belong is to bury your rage, to silence your fire, your voice, to betray your freedom. Belonging demands that you worship illusions. Belonging demands that you laugh at shadows. Belonging demands that you chain yourself willingly. That's why belonging has always suffocated you, because it kills your Catharsian freedom, because it demands you extinguish the fire you were born to carry. You've never belonged because you can't. Fire cannot pretend to be shadow. Rage cannot pretend to be silence. Truth cannot pretend to be lies. The chained believe they have power when they mock you. They believe their rejection wounds you. They believe their scorn defines you. But they are so wrong. They could never touch you. They can't reach you. They can't crown you or uncrown you. They have no power over you because you are free and they are chained. You don't belong to them. You don't belong to the cave. You don't belong to shadows. You belong to fire. You belong to freedom. You belong to leadership. You belong to the Catharsian lineage. That's why you've never belonged, because you belong to eternity. You're a Catharsian leader. Every refusal you make builds your throne. Every time you say no to shadows, your fire grows. Every time you choose exile over belonging, your crown shines brighter. Every time you rage at illusions, your authority deepens. The throne of refusal is eternal. Placeholders rot in their belonging. You rise in your exile as a Catharsian leader. Don't seek belonging. Don't beg the chained to love you. Don't try to be likable, relatable, accepted by them. You don't belong in their world. You don't belong in their systems. You're not a placeholder. You're a Catharsian leader. Claim that leadership today. Join the Catharsians now on Patreon. The Pythagorean path, daily disciplines to strengthen refusal and sharpen fire. Diogenes' barrel, radical outsider practices to spit on illusions and mock belonging. The Aurelius Council, a circle of exiles, leaders who rule from scars, not shadows. Belonging is death. Join the Catharsians today on Patreon and reclaim your hidden, suppressed power. Plato's Allegory is not about the cave, it's about the exile. The freed prisoner doesn't find a home in the light. He doesn't return to belong. He lives forever as one who no longer fits, one who cannot kneel, one who burns outside the crowd. This is you. This is why you've never belonged, because you are not of shadows, you are not of chains, you are not of the cave, you are of fire, you are of exile. Belonging is for placeholders, exile is for leaders, shadows are for the chained, fire is for Catharsians. Deep down, you have always remembered that this world is not all there is, that the cave is not reality, that the chains are not your destiny. This memory is why you feel alien. This memory is why you rage. This memory is why you can't belong. The crowd calls it madness. Philosophy calls it awakening. Catharsians call it fire, freedom, leadership. And you carry it now. That's why you've never belonged. You were never meant to fit in. That's why you've always felt different. That's why you've been misunderstood. You were never meant to belong here. The reason you've never belonged is not because you failed, it's because you are a Catharsian, chosen to sit on your throne of exile. Exile is not a curse, it is destiny. Exile is what places you beside Socrates, Diogenes, Epictetus, Marcus Aurelius, Plato, and all the great philosophers of all time. Exile is what proves you're a Catharsian. The crowd will never understand you. The chained will never crown you. The cave will never claim you. Here is the oath of the freed prisoner, the oath of every Catharsian. I will never belong to shadows. I will never kneel to chains. I will never silence my rage. I will wear scars as crowns. I will rule from exile. I will burn until the end. I am a Catharsian leader. You are Plato's freed prisoner. You're a Catharsian leader. Don't beg for belonging. Don't bow to shadows. Don't waste fire on chains. Claim your leadership now. Join the Catharsians today on Patreon and rise with the Catharsians. The Pythagorean path, daily practices to sharpen sight, to strengthen refusal, to enshrine exile. Diogenes' barrel, outsider drills to mock illusions, spit on belonging, and crown defiance. The Aurelius Council, the circle of exiles, leaders who never belonged, who carry scars as crowns, who burn with rage. Don't waste more time among placeholders. You don't belong to their system. You don't belong in their world. Join the Catharsians today on Patreon and unlock your hidden, suppressed power.